Crucial 13, you are appreciated. Shout out to you.
Get crucial.
Hungry. I need some bacon. Look at this.
Look at it. This is the city I'm in right now.
We have a good show tonight, you guys. We are finishing our Haunted Comedy Club series, where we have interviewed the GMs of comedy clubs across the country that have experienced hauntings. And I'm going to tell you right now, every club is haunted. Every venue is haunted that you go to. So I wanted to bring people to Ghost Stories with Anjelah and share the haunting stories of these comedy clubs.
Like the Comedy Store's haunted, right? Like Mitzi
I didn't know that. You knew that? Yeah, Ghost Adventures went there a few months ago.
Yeah, so Mitzi would only get, say Mitzi's office, she would get some exorcist from Europe to fly in once a year and only do her room because she thought that that's where the energy was. And apparently, if you look through the stained glass window through the door, if you look through it, you can see telephones and things levitating and stuff.
Wow.
But they boarded it up. So even I've been at the Comedy Store for almost 30 years, right, 25 years. You know, I've never been in that room. I've never been, you know what I mean? Because they just boarded it up. You can't get there, right? I've seen Gus there.
Who's Gus?
Gus is one of the ghosts that haunts the store.
Oh, that haunts the comedy. Gus the Ghost.
Well,
That's a cute name.
He was a murdered. Well, so in the 50s, the Comedy Store used to be a club called Ciro's. And it used to be the hottest club in Hollywood, but it was run by the mob. And during the days, people would get killed in where the main room is. You've been to the Comedy Store, right? So that used to be the showroom. And there's these, if you look up on the ceiling, there's these little openings up above where people would snipe, you know what I mean, people.
Do you think you've ever seen a ghost?
No, I do not.
Have you ever experienced something that was like super creepy?
You know what? A couple of my friends at the Comedy Store have claimed to have seen ghosts and claimed to have seen things. And I, with many of my friends that work there and comics and stuff, we've gone upstairs to the belly room in the dark and just freaked ourselves out and went, and ran out of there, stoned out of our mind. I feel it. We got to go. Or you go into the main room at night and you're like, give me a hug. Hold me. I'm scared. It's a weird place, man. People for sure have been murdered there. It was Bugsy Siegel's nightclub in the 30s or 40s or some shit. It was Ciro's nightclub.
Yeah, there's definitely some mojo there, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The energy there is very powerful and real. And if you don't, the worst thing is to not know you're sensitive, to just think you're normal. Oh, man, you are fucked if you go to that place because it'll start fucking with you a little bit. And which is why all these like people who have a variety of mental illnesses would show up there throughout the years. You know, it almost would draw them to it. But I'll tell you, man, two ghost experiences that I had there. One, we would have clairvoyants come in there every once in a while. Like once a year, a clairvoyant would come in and want to like try to communicate with the spirit of the place because it's a legendary haunted place. And so this clairvoyant comes and they're like, can we just walk through the building? I just want to see if I can communicate with the spirits here. And so we're walking through the building and they're doing the usual clairvoyant shit, which I'm pretty skeptical about, because it's like if you name a certain number of names, you're going to hit something. So the name stuff that they do, I don't know. I don't usually pay attention to it, like I'm sensing a William, brothers, some kind of brothers. There was a thing. And also it's a researchable building. So it's like anything you say is not going to make me feel like it's proof of something if you're in a historic building. But that's the steps going up to the belly room?
Yes.
And there's like a sign at the bottom of the steps there I think it's neon. It definitely has lights. I don't know what
inside or outside.
So out inside,
Right.
You make the right turn. You go up those steps, and there's
a sign. There's a neon sign.
Right.
Okay.
So they go by that. She goes by that sign and stops, and starts being like, "Oh, that's when she's saying it's brothers. There's some kind of someone. There's something happened." She's like, "Dude, it's straight out of poltergeist shit," and that was pretty weird, but pretty good act. And then that fucking sign, man, it starts going. Zzz, 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 zzz. It's reacting to her. I'd never seen that sign do that. That I saw it with my own fucking eyes. Now, what that was, I have no idea, but it creeped me out. The other thing I saw there was really interesting, and I think when people talk about the ghost of the Comedy Store, they're thinking like Casper, something with a sheet over its head, or some kind of like, stereotypical ghost concept. But if you think about it more in terms of like there's an energetic form there that repeats itself, this will make more sense. And that's what the ghost is. But I was like, I was looking down the hallway at the belly room, and I was just watching some comics and some dumb fight, just fighting, you motherfucker. They were like I don't know the comics where they were like someone in a belly room show, but they were in a pretty intense fight. And I was just watching it. I couldn't hear them. They left, right? And then within like 3 minutes in that very same spot, 2 different people got in the same fucking fight. Same movement, same like da 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 da. I'm sitting there watching like an echo of the same fucking thing I just saw with 2 different people.
Are you scared of ghosts at the Comedy Store?
Now, I had an experience here with ghosts. I just had my set and everything, and you could see people closing up to it, and I was like, I've never been here past the closing hours. Yeah. So I was like, it's going to be nice. I'm going to smoke a joint and sit in the parking lot of this place I fucking love. The last light went out, and all of a sudden I had this, I can't even explain it. It's like a push. Like, yo, you're not supposed to be here. Ooh. This is our time. Please leave. Yeah. So I was just like, you high, bitch. Like, you been high, and I'm getting ready to light the joint. And that motherfucker was like, yo, get the fuck out. So I started my car and left. Listen, I'm not going to hang around for a motherfucker to come and tap me on the shoulder and I see a face and shit. You don't have to do that with me. Black people, you don't have to do stuff with black people like that. It's the white motherfuckers you got to put a whole brick through the fucking windshield and shit and choke the motherfucker out like.
I think we should go.
I said leave,
So we saw. No, let me talk about this. This is a story that I say all the time. When you and I go to the Bakersfield, and I left my truck in the parking lot of the Comedy Store.
Oh yeah.
And we look up, we see the ghost.
Yes.
Thank you. That's
the
all
lady.
I want.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can
That's all I want to know.
The old lady.
Yeah.
Up in the window.
Well, I thought it was a man, but you thought it was an old lady.
But I saw that dude a few times that I didn't know at the time until.
What do they call him? Gus. Yes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out because I say that story a lot about Gus and the ghost.
I ain't gonna lie, dude looked like he was lying, to be honest. But it could be because he just didn't remember it the way Bobby remembered it. And he kind of got put on the spot right there. So I don't know. Let's continue.
Mm-hmm.
And no one ever believes me. Right? But that's my...
And just so everybody understands, when Bobby and I saw this, and when I saw what I thought was Gus and some dude in a trench coat with the derby hat in the belly room.
Yeah.
This is when I wasn't even a regular yet. When I saw who I ended up later finding out that was Gus. At the time I didn't know. I was just like, hey man, I thought I saw some old dude, some older man in a trench coat, whatever. Cut to like literally 15, 16 years later, they bring those poltergeist people into the store, and then it ends up on A&E, right? And I'm watching it because I heard about it and I remember they were there. So they're talking about it, and all of a sudden the lady is like, yeah, there's the hitman for Bugsy, carried a 38 snub nose. He was the hitman. He took care of everybody. He wore a trench coat and a hat. His name was Gus. I see this like 16, 17 years later, and I'm sitting at my place when I just went, holy shit.
I've seen Gus.
That's the dude I saw twice.
Me too. I saw it one time.
And then I saw what I thought was a lady. But
yeah, it was Gus. What I saw was a top hat, faceless man.
Top hat or a derby?
Something.
Let's end one story. Where I saw whatever I saw at the store was at the top of the belly room. Mitzi was in her chair in the main room, and I didn't want to walk past her, so I stood by the door watching whoever was on stage, and I felt an energy over my right shoulder. And I kept focusing on the comic, but something was hitting my eyes. Something was making that light not blink, but like somebody was standing in front of it. And when I finally did decide to look up, it was like the person, it was like Kinison. It looked like a Kinison type. Took his jacket, spun it like a cape, and walked into the belly room. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Whatever I felt. And I could feel his cold air, whatever. And that was it. That was my only ghostly experience at the thing. You really saw ghosts?
2 times. Me and Johnny Sanchez saw at the same time a ghost.
Where did you see your ghost?
What do you mean? It's only one. There's only one ghost. There's only one ghost there, bro.
The belly room.
And his name is Gus. Do you know that?
Is that his name?
That's his name, bro. Gus, dude. I've seen Gus twice, bro.
Now, where did you see Gus?
The first time I saw Gus was Johnny Sanchez. You know that little Latino guy?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he goes, hey, bro. I go, what's up? Let's do a gig in Bakersfield. So back in the day, I had this truck with no window. The windows were blasted open. I had no money. So I parked my truck at the Comedy Store. He takes his car. We drive to Bakersfield. We do a show. On the way back, it's like 3 a.m. now. But he drops me off at my car. We're standing in the parking lot, just talking about the night or whatnot. And we both look up at that top window, and we see a face, glowing, no eyes, no features, wearing a top hat, and 2 hands against the window, looking down on us. And we look at the thing, we look at each other again, and we look back up, it's gone. And we believed that to be Gus, my friend.
That was the first time. When was the second time?
I was playing the piano at 4 a.m.
In the main room?
Yeah. Why are you laughing, dude?
I haven't really heard anyone say that before.
In the main room bathroom?
How many people can say they played the Comedy Store piano at 4 a.m?
I played it in the back, that bathroom, that piano.
Yeah, that piano back there, yeah. But back then, it wasn't in back there. It was on the side of the stage.
On the side of the stage.
Right. So it's completely dark, right? And I'm playing my own improvised little, Korean lullaby. Dang ding, dang ding, dang ding, dong, ding. Dang, dang, ding, dang, ding, dong, ding, dang. Stuff like that. And I look to my right, and I see a yellow suit with a top hat, but from far away. You know where the entrance is? I see it coming toward me. I run out that back door, to the hallway.
Yeah.
And I come back in, it's gone. And that I believe that to be my second encounter with Gus.
The scariest was the one day he came home and he said, I'm going to study the devil. I've studied God my whole life, but I want to find out what the devil's about. And then he started studying witchcraft.
As I'm watching this documentary, I'm getting to episode 3, and they start talking about stuff that was happening at the Comedy Store, and they start to mention satanic rituals. And I forgot exactly. Did I write his name down? I didn't.
That they were doing satanic rituals?
Yes, it's on episode 3. I had the name written down, but I deleted it before I did this by accident. But one of the comedians, I forgot his name. I'll tell it to you later, but the comedians were like, this guy was like getting super dark and depressed and stuff, and then they started doing satanic rituals, and they would have these comedians come in and do these rituals for like fame and fortune and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, why is Satan such a constant theme in all of these like Hollywood films, Hollywood
and comedy at that,
music, anything to do with like power or fame? I feel like it always ends up rooting
to
some kind of satanic practice.
I think it falls back to like the Nebuchadnezzar days of like idolization.
And that, as a friend, is the scariest fucking thing I'd ever heard in my life.
He explored everything. He was exploring a bunch of different stuff. I don't know how deeply he got into it, or that he just wanted to know what those things said. Sam used to hold seances back here in this little room.
Some agent didn't book him for something, so he put a curse on the agent. And the agent got in a car wreck the following week or something like that. And he was all like, see, it works.
On Monday nights, all the freaks would come out of the woodwork. Sam would show up about 11:30. He'd give me a few $100 to go set the house up for a party. And Dave, the Satanist, comes. And Sam doesn't like it. Like, and there's this argument. Sam throws a drink in the guy's face and it fucking clocks him, and like there's chaos. When he tried to be healthy, people were coming up and screaming in his face and saying, "You're the fucking beast, man."
Once Sam Kinison came in, I saw that gun on the table. I go, I'm out of here, man. I don't. Is it going to go off accidentally?
His self-esteem was so low, he wanted everything he shouldn't have had.
I asked myself, how the fuck did I not become a drug addict and alcoholic and all that shit? Because I watched all you guys do it. I watched Sam do it. I watched, we can go down the line. You guys were a fucking mess. So I have a saying that I came up with from watching you guys, especially Sam: dance with the devil, don't become the devil.
Now, I had one encounter, but it wasn't with Gus.
Who was it?
I thought it was Sam Kinison.
It's so funny that you say that, because once you say this, what you're saying, I'm going to tell you something about Sam and Gus. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, tell me what.
Well, Carl LeBeau, you know Carl LeBeau?
Yes, sir.
Carl LeBeau and Sam Kinison were best friends. In fact, when Sam Kinison died, Carl LeBeau held his body. Did you know that?
As he was saying, no, it's not my time to go.
Yeah, that whole thing. Don't make me cry right now.
No, I know.
Because you almost made me cry just now.
It's sad.
Don't do that, okay? One time when Carl LeBeau and Sam Kinison moved to L.A. from Houston, they snuck in the store to sleep because they were poor, right?
Right.
And they slept on the main room stage. He was telling me a story how when him and Sam Kinison moved here from Houston, they would sleep in the main room on the stage. And one night, Carl and Sam were sleeping, and Carl LeBeau he passed a couple of months ago. God bless him.
I know. R.I.P.
And LeBeau tells a story where he wakes up and he sees Sam Kinison being levitated by his foot, and Carl was awoken to Sam Kinison levitating upside down from the stage, and he's like 3 feet off the fucking.
But Kinison's asleep still.
Yeah, right. And Carl goes, "What? You know how big Sam is, right?" And then he was dropped on his back, but he was definitely like 4 feet up from the stage, and they believed that it was Gus that was doing that. Gus apparently was a bodyguard or a doorman back when it was Ciro's, and he was assassinated there.
So now I'm with Carl LeBeau and
Same with the ghost stories, and the same with there's the bad entities, and then there's the friendly entities, and all those things. And I've seen both in my life of those experiences.
Do tell.
Yeah, so
okay, so you've seen both good and bad,
Yes.
and you've had a near-death experience. I remember
Exactly,
that.
yes,
All right,
yes, we shared that a
start.
long time
I'm not
ago.
even going to interrupt.
Yeah. Well, the Comedy Store was a magical place as a young comedian. I was 20, 21 when I first got there. And my job, I was a doorman. So Blake Clark, who I adore, this gentleman, when he served in the armed forces, he had men in Vietnam, and he was in charge of them. He had a platoon. And he has stories of being chased by the Viet Cong up a mountain, and a helicopter come down to save them from this gang that's following them, shooting at them as they climbed up a mountain. And the helicopter starts to take off, and he says, "No, you got to get us or we're dead." The guy goes, "I got to get out of here. They're right behind you." He goes, "If you don't get us, I'm going to blow you out of the sky." And the guy came down and he got all of his men on, and they got out. So that's the kind of person he is.
Yeah.
So when he's training me, one night he and I, he's showing me how to shut the doors and lock the doors in the main room while the original room is still going on. It's still happening there. So the main room doesn't show.
And for people that don't know, there's 3 rooms in there.
Rooms in the Comedy
original,
Store.
2
The
downstairs.
main room is
one
a huge room that used to be a part of Ciro's, and it's like a 500-seat room. It's like a Vegas room. It's very big and huge stage, huge backstage area that I helped build
Wow.
back in '80.
Wow.
So my first job there was helping build the green room back there and the mirrors and all that other stuff. And that's when I heard stories of some of the offs. They shot people and killed them back then when the mob owned it. They took them to those places and they found bones in the walls and all this other great stuff that you hear about. So Blake and I were closing the room one night, and out of nowhere he goes, "You know this place is haunted?" I said, "No." He goes, one night, and he tells me one of those stories where the goosebumps just, because it's a man's man telling me this story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a kid, and he's got so much life experience in his belt, and he chills me to the bone by he's starting to lock the room, and this entity shows itself in the middle of the main room And he said it was like a white ghost figure where he could kind of see it, but he couldn't. And he didn't know what it was, and it had its back to him, and it turned around and went, and gave him the ugliest face with the biggest teeth and started after him. And he ran down that long hallway that joins the two rooms together, burst out of the door and ran into the street and wouldn't go back to lock the club up. Didn't know what to do.
Wow.
Because this thing followed it out and dissipated right out the middle of the street.
Wow.
And he's not a liar, and he's not that kind of guy who just would tell a story to scare a guy, you know.
He was on,
it chilled us.
if anybody look him up, because you'll recognize his voice mostly and see him on TV shows.
Oh, yeah. He's in a lot of Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, he's not a lightweight.
No, not at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
so that was the introduction to the fact that the store was haunted.
Maybe a round of applause so we can get Mr. Blake Clark up tonight to tell some more missing stories. Blake, where are you? It's your Jesus Christ tonight. Good God. Thank you, Mitzi. I never believed in ghosts. You know, people would tell me stories like that. Interesting or what, scary. I never believed it. And then I started working here, and shit would happen. For some reason, Thursday nights were always I locked the place up. So I worked here for 2 years and 8 months, from August of 1980 to May of 1983, which is before some of you were even born. But I was the last person I locked up. I don't remember when Joey Gaynor ever did it. Maybe in his dreams he locked the place up, but I never saw him here after 2 o'clock. So I tried to get everybody out, which was usually done pretty well by Mooney. He there was most of the audience. And then I'd get the people who work here out. Some of them weren't too easy. I don't remember all their names. I'm an old fuck. I'm about 8 minutes older than dirt, so I don't remember all their names. There's one guy in particular, it was always tough to get him out. And he was with us with me when that gate thing happened, where the thing came all the way out and swung back and forth. And then there was one night, okay, first of all, I was always reluctant to talk to other people about it because they would just say, oh, you're crazy or you're just making this stuff up. And so I would not mention most of the stuff to other people. There's a guy here named Harris Pete, who was the doorman when I started working here. And Harris is as nice a man, as wonderful a guy as I've ever known. After you get to know him, but he's one of those guys that puts up a tough exterior. It's like 8 months before he'd even talk to me. I was the back door guy. And he would, I'd come up and go, hey. And he'd go, why are you bothering me? So I'd slink back to my back door place. So I got to know him, and we became friends, and we actually started doing stuff together. And then one night with the stool, except it was over here, this stage was totally different then. It was square, and there was no lights, and there was just a curtain that came back here. And the stool was here, and I was coming in from the back there. And I had to do a physical check of the place to make sure that there were no bums. I know, they're homeless. Okay? They're homeless people. No, they were fucking bums, okay? These were fucking bums, because they were coming in here and sleeping in here and then setting off the motion detector and wake them. Then they'd call me and wake my ass up at 4 o'clock in the morning and make me come back here and turn all the shit off because I had all the keys. Get quiet! Wake his ass up! So I had to do a physical check of the place. So I was walking, and I would lock it up in increments. I'd lock up the top and the belly room, the offices where Michael Becker saw the old guy. And there's windows up here. I don't know if you can see them. But there used to be windows up there where they could look out of the windows and look down here into this showroom, because this was a showroom for Ciro's, but it was run by the wise guys. And I'm pretty sure there was somebody whacked in this back dressing room back here. A lot of people have died in this comedy store. myself many times. A lot of deaths went on there. And we used to kid Gaynor, you know, the ghosts were telling. With the business. That was it. But the night that I was standing right there, he was standing over there, and the ashtray came from way over here. And of course, they couldn't, back then, the technology of 1987, they couldn't show you. The thing just went and shattered against the wall over there. And I was disappointed that it didn't actually hit Gaynor. Some standing over there, he said, did you throw that? And I went, hey, if I could fucking throw something like that, I'd be pitching for the doctors. I wouldn't be here working the door. For me, it was that thing when I was down there in the duncan. I said, that's it, I'm out of here. Sometimes when they change stuff around, the ghosts or whatever just leave. Or they get confused, or what. And I used to get pissed off. Because, you know, I had to deal with the audience, I had to deal with the comics, I had to move their cars. You know, I was just a doorman for a long time. So I was going up to close up the belly room, and the door started slamming. It was a wooden door then, now it's a glass door. And I'm walking up the stairs, and I stopped and went, hey! I got enough shit from live people! I don't need it from dead people! And it stopped.
And then Kinison and I were, you know, buddies. We hang there every night. We were doormen. And Sam had a lot of experiences. He actually exorcised several people in life because he was a minister for 7 years, but his father was his whole life. So he was raised in church and had a lot of supernatural experiences growing up. And he had a ghost story that was scary too, where he ran away from home at 16. He was out on those streets for about 2 days walking somewhere and got on a dirt road out in the countryside somewhere.
Because he was from Texas?
He ran away from when his parents lived in Tulsa.
Okay.
And
which you could get lost at walking.
Yeah, well, he might have hitchhiked and got to somewhere else. He was on his way to Norfolk, Virginia, is where he ended up. But he's on a country road, the sun's going down, he's tired, he's beat up, and he sees one of those little small churches. Well, he's comfortable. He lived in a church for many years. So that's where he's comfortable. So he breaks into the church. It's one of those 15 pew churches, very small, just the front up there and then 15 pews and a door. And it's the little white one, you know, out in the dirt road.
Like in that TV show Preacher.
No parking lot, you park on the grass. Right. Exactly. So he lays in the front pew and he puts his little bag underneath his head and he goes to sleep. Now he's 16. And he hears the door, which is locked. He hears the handle on the door. So now the moon's coming through one of the windows. It's dark. And he gets up and he ignores it. Okay, it was just my imagination as I was going to sleep. So he lays back down. Then he hears footsteps coming from the door that's closed. Tick, tick, tick. And he goes, hello, hello, hi, my name's Sam, and I broke in to sleep. I just broke in here to sleep. That's all. I just want to sleep. And the footsteps stop and nothing. And he looks up and he doesn't see a thing. So he's going, that's my imagination. He lays back down. Now the footsteps are just at his feet. 1, 2, 3 footsteps, and it grabs him by the ankle and lifts him in the air to where he's screaming and his arms are flailing. He can't even touch the ground. This thing's got him up that high, and he's screaming. And this thing drops him. Oh. He grabs his bag and he runs out and bursts through that door. And he said he ran till he thought his heart was going to explode. And it had him. And he woke up the next day underneath the tree and his ankle hurt. And he pulled his pants leg up and he had a 3-pronged bruise all the way around the middle of his calf muscle. And he had big calf muscles. This thing was huge, but it had 4 fingers. 3 grabbed him on one side, and threw him around. So, and whenever he told the story, he got his chills too. So it's one thing for someone to make up a story.
Did he have a theory on that as for why?
No, he never did. But I think it's because he's always been connected somehow with that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
like open to it, because he had
Mhm.
seen it so much as a young kid, and then he ended up marrying over 100 couples. And he's been to so many people's deaths. This will lead to the ghost story that I'm going to
Okay.
tell you, because this is pretty interesting. But he and I got into a 2-year thing in LA as young doormen. We got into a 2-year thing where we decided to do mushrooms and go to the depths of ourselves and open up and find this freedom we were both searching for as young guys. Now, I was 21 or 22. Sam was 5 years older. So we did it one night. We didn't eat for 4 days. Then we did mushrooms. And then we did a 9-hour walk. And in that 9-hour walk, Sam knew exactly what he wanted to experience and told me before we did the walk. He goes, we're going to go walk into the 7 heavens. We're going to do this. We're going to be this. We're going to see this. That's what he wanted to do. And never been there. He just knew about it. So that was our exploration. We ended up on the top of Lookout Mountain in LA that looks out over the Hollywood Bowl and all that stuff. And we laid down, and he said, now we're going to leave our bodies. And we laid down and looked up at the stars, and the next thing I know, we were out there. We weren't a body. Our bodies were laying down, and that's where I ended up with a bit later saying, if they would have found us, they would have said these guys are dead because we weren't there. But we were having an out-of-body, and we saw everything change. We saw history. We saw LA go prehistoric, and we saw it go to the future.
Wow.
But when we got back, and we didn't talk about when we were seeing it, and when we were communicating through the mind. It was unspoken, but we heard each other. But when we got back, and the next day we were talking about this experience, I go, did you see the city change? Everything, yes, I did. We saw the same things, and we're able to talk about it from different points of view.
Confirmation.
Exactly, so that confirmation. So one night, we were dormant at the Comedy Store. We have all these experiences under our belt, and we're in the store, and they did the 10th anniversary of the Comedy Store. And Buddy Rich played drums that night, and Robin Williams and Richard Pryor performed, and we were the doormen in that room that night. So it was historic. We got to see such a phenomenal celebration of 10 years of the Comedy Store and all these great acts. After the show, we had to clean up. And all we could do was buzz about what we just seen that night. One day, this could be us. We could be performing on stage and people show up to see us. And, all those things that inspire you. And so there's about 5 of us in the room. And Sam, out of nowhere, goes, watch this. And he went up on stage because we had seen some ghostly things at that time, in that main room especially, and heard a lot of stories. And Sam walked up on stage. There's no one working the lights. There's one single light from the light spot up in the main room. It goes straight down to the stage, just the one big spotlight. So Sam walks up. All the lights are on. There's no sound crew there. There's nobody in the light box because you have to go up a staircase, all this other stuff. And Sam looks at this in the room, and he just kind of says it to the room. He goes, I bet all the ghosts in this room enjoy tonight because it was about the 30s, was what the pretense of the night was about.
So it would be their
a lot of sketches
decade.
about the 30s and 40s. Yeah. He goes, I bet you really, because that show was monumentous for performers and young comics. So we know it had to affect you. With that, boom, the lights in the whole building go out.
Wow.
In the main room. And then the spotlight goes on Sam. Pop! On Sam. And we all went, whoa! Because we know there's no one there to do that. There is no way you can control anything from downstairs.
Wow.
It's all upstairs. And you can't turn off the room lights, the whole room lights from upstairs. So Sam goes, okay, and starts to walk off, and the light bent and followed him.
Whoa.
To the corner of the stage, and he goes, guys, let's get the fuck out of here. And as soon as he said that light went out, and all of us felt a cold rush come through our bodies. And here is a bunch of grown men, here's a bunch of grown men crawling. 5 of us crawled on the floor. It took us 5 minutes to get out of that room.
Wow.
And run down that same hallway that Blake ran down to go out the door and talk about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's in the dressing room? I don't know. I think right now there's nothing. There used to be, I don't know if there still is, there used to be like a closet. And you could open the closet and there was a hole that went down, as most holes do. But it went down deep, and there was a stream running under the Comedy Store. I don't know, it's odd.
Now, if you listen real good, you can hear a person in the crowd whisper Epstein.
Under
Now, this doesn't mean shit because there's a random person in the crowd that tied the two situations together and said, oh, hole there? Yeah, that's how they did Epstein, you know, whatever. It's all entertainment. But that is very interesting considering all the stories we've heard so far. And we didn't even get into the crazy shit yet.
And I thought it was like, you know, Amityville Horror. I went, holy shit, close that door back. All kind of shit will come out of there in one spot.
So that was one of many stories that ended up happening to where the ghost started following Sam. As Sam was becoming popular, Blake Clark told me a scary story one day. He said he's closing the main room, and he heard in the other room, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Kinison. And he right behind him, he heard he heard a voice go, he's on. He's on.
EVP, yeah.
Scary shit.
Well, you know what? I mean, I would guess that Sam was haunted anyways.
Yeah, well, I think he freed the room one night.
Oh, so he crossed everybody over?
He crossed them over one night, and this was like 2 years later. Some life experience had come into him, and he went on stage, and he said, you can go now. I have the power to tell you to move on.
Wow.
And it stopped for us. We never, and I didn't hear any more ghost stories there. But Sam felt because everyone's telling him the ghosts are talking about you, the ghosts are, and we had a lot of other experiences that we're not getting to because of time.
Right.
But it was those things that I saw him control it. So I could understand why he maybe was able earlier in his life to help somebody out who felt that they were possessed and things like that.
Right.
Because he had that gift of knowing the right thing to say.
And I know you got to go. So last question real quick. So after Sam passed, you must have had an experience where you knew he was there.
Yes, I did. When he died, I was holding him, and he went through me. And I met someone a day later that came over to the house for the family, and one of them said, why don't you get a massage? This person's a massage therapist because you've been through so much stress. Why don't you get a massage? And I was so tired, I needed to lay down anyway. And I laid down, and the guy that was started to massage me stopped and went, you went with him, didn't you? And I said, what? He goes, you went with Sam when he went through you. You're not back yet. So it was really weird because later on I found out Sam did some horrible things to me and in my life. I ended up finding out a lot of things that I didn't think he was capable of doing to me. I know he did it to other people, but he did do it to me too. And one of the things that I learned was letting those things go, because I was carrying anger for something I had no control over.
Right.
And I think in life we give our love, and that's all you can do. What people do to you has nothing to do with you.
Right.
So I think that lesson was from him because I saw him do it to the spirits. They tortured him. He went into Satanism for a little while to figure out what it was, and that was a scary time as a friend to see a friend dig in because he had been from the Bible side of it for so long.
So we're talking Ghosts or Ghosts of the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And I don't know Joey Gaynor, or I haven't seen him in a long time. He has the best story.
He has lots of them, yeah.
That where he was.
I'll give you his number if you want. Or something.
Yes, he was in the main room.
He'll be happy somebody's calling him. So.
Yeah.
Might be a gig. Yeah.
He was in the main room and he got up and he turned around and all the chairs were up on the
like
table.
on a big pyramid there, like in a million. He'll have to tell you that. It's his story.
Oh,
so yeah.
God. All right. So what do you have a ghost?
Well, I was there in the main room once with Joey, and there was no show going on. It was like they had the main room going on. The original room going on. We were just hanging out talking, and they have candles on all the tables, and a candle and a table next to us lit itself, just lit.
Oh.
And I go, "Did you see that?" He said, "Yeah, I saw that. Did that candle light up?" I think it did. Let's get out of here! Cut out so much of the wall like the little rascals. Oh, school! Gotta get out of here.
Well, that whole place though is Vitello's. Is what it used to be.
It used to be Ciro's, yeah, Ciro's.
Vitello's is still open.
Vitello's is still. I think that's where Robert Blake took his wife on their last date. These them gosh damn, why'd she have it happen, man? Right. What happened? I didn't do it, man.
So all right, and I'm going to ask Carl about this too. But it used to be Ciro's.
It used to be Ciro's,
and they used to, when you go up in the belly room, right? There's a little window where you can look where they used to shoot people, right?
I've heard that. I've heard that in the office they used to perform abortions there occasionally, and people have heard like a baby crying up there.
While the show was going on.
Yeah. And but I was on stage in the main room one night, and it was shortly after Sam Kinison died, And I mentioned Sam from stage, and all the lights went out. Everything in the main room went out, and everything was going on. I think the club ran on one generator, but everything in the other rooms were going fine. And I thought maybe the light guy was messing with it, but he was standing in the doorway. He wasn't up in the balcony where the light was. And the lights came back on. I go, Sam, is that you? And the lights went off again, and then they came back on again. Oh yeah, I don't know what it was, but that's what happened. So.
But I never would mess with what was down in the dungeon or back here, because they scared the shit out of me. And I'm a combat veteran. I was in Vietnam, and I was in combat. I've been shot at, and I was scared of whatever was back there and whatever was down there, and still to this day I don't want to fuck with it. I mean, there would be stuff going on. I mean, some of the stuff was like, like what Joey said. You blow out some candles, you turn around there and live again. Or, the tables are all stacked over here. Or the chairs are moved around. Or the stool is, stuff like that.
I saw who I thought was Kinison. I was in the original room.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had like a 12:45 spot in the original room. It's Saturday night. This is the old days. The place is hopping. I hear a voice in the main room. There's a show going on in the main room on a Saturday night. I walk up, and it's sold out. I know Mitzi's in her chair in that booth there.
Oh, yeah, back in the day.
I didn't go in. I sat in the hallway. But something, when I was looking at the comic, so the main room is that TV. The main room stage is that TV. I'm in the hallway. Something kept blocking the light from the belly room that was shining on the wall. So every time I would watch, something would block it. And I finally go, what the fuck is this? And I stepped back, and I looked up. And what I saw was...
What'd you see, dude?
I don't want to say this.
No, you have to.
What I saw was a guy look at me, but before I could see his face or what he had in his head, he threw a cape over. Whoa. And he went into the belly room.
That was Gus, dude. That ain't no Sam Kinison.
And I was like, Jesus Christ. I finally saw my first ghost at the store. That's it. It's done.
So Gus wears a top hat and a cape?
Now, Princess Corey has...
Don't doubt it, dude.
Princess Corey has a story about getting fucked up at the store and going into the main room when it was dead. When we first started there was no main room shows, comedy chaos on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was
Skylar Stone on Thursday. It was
from Friday and Saturday was open, but every night was completely
dead,
dark,
completely dark,
closed down.
Oh, Tuesday.
Oh, they had
Tuesday.
Black Night.
Black Night.
Yeah,
but besides that, it was completely dead. Princess Corey told me a story one day. She was on the up and up. Her and I were eating like lunch or something. And she told me that's the first time she told me. She goes, oh, this place is definitely fucking haunted. And I go, what are you talking about? And she goes, one night I got really fucking hammered. And I figured I'd go into the main room and fall asleep in one of the booths. She goes, I figured I'd nap for an hour, sleep it off, and wake up. She goes, I was awakened to fucking ballroom music.
Wow.
Blasting in the Comedy Store.
It's creepy.
And she said she popped her head up, and the whole main room stage was people dancing with top hats and jackets on, like just dancing. And that she got up and ran out. Yeah, and set the alarm off.
Whoa.
Cops came, the manager at the store came at the time. She was the talent coordinator at the time. This was before Freddie, I think. God rest his soul. And she goes that the cops came, they couldn't find nothing. But I have been out in that lot many a night. Again, in those days, I was on some type of drug. So I cannot... The night I was watching the main room show, I was not on drugs. I was still had a spot, so I did not do cocaine yet.
It was me and Joey and one other guy. And I don't remember the other guy's name. But we just started talking about it, and I said, whatever's in that basement, I'm like, well, let's go down there and see it. Right. So we go down there, and what they didn't tell you in that thing is when the thing started appearing, we weren't laughing. We were like, holy shit, what is this? And because it was just big, amorphous. It was, and you could see it. It was dark, and everything got really, really cold. And you could see your breath from you. And Gainer's like this. He didn't say, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? However many times he said it once. But he was going, get away. What are you? Get away. And he's got his hands up like that. And he says, He says, feel my hands. So I go up and I touch the back part of his hand. And he goes, the palms, you idiot. So I touched the palms, and I swear to God, I couldn't hold my finger. It was like touching a hot iron. His palms were like, just like, I don't know, 150 degrees almost. And then I'm standing there and I had my hand inside a shelf, kind of going like this. I wasn't doing like the acting thing I can't do. So I was standing there, and he says, what do you want? And then something hit me on top of the hand. And there's no way it could have been thrown or blown or whatever and come inside that shelf and fallen on my hand, because my hand was in front of me like that without me seeing it. And it hit on top of my hand, and I looked at it, picked it up, and it was a piece of cardboard with my name written on it. So I just went, you ain't getting me again. So that kind of scared the shit out of me. That's why I never really liked coming back in there. I had a theory that the thing, whatever it is here, I just call it ghost for lack of anything else to call it. Whatever it is, as long as there are lots of people here, like now, whatever energy that we create, they don't like. So they just kind of don't appear or manifest. Whatever the term is. Because I think they kind of felt like that after 2:30, the place was theirs, and if we weren't out of here by 2:30, they kind of started letting us know that they wanted us to hurry along. So I think that's why. And Thursday night, for some reason, it was always a strange night. I don't know. And one other story I'll tell you, and then I'll let you let the rest of it, whatever it is, go. There was a door I used to have to lock up, like I said, in increments, and I would have to come in here and go up. And there's a passageway. You have to walk across through there, and you have to walk like this. Not because the passageway is low, you just have to walk. So you get used to working here. Yes, indeed, yes. No, she's not that. We all kid her. We love her. Anyway, I'd have to go up there and check, make sure no one was up, because there would be people. I found comics sleeping up there, not sleeping, but hiding in the light booth, so when the place gets locked up, they can come down and experience the ghost. Because they want you to get a job here, work in the door. Then you'll experience the ghost. You'll experience it to the point that you get sick of it. But anyway, back to the beginning, when people were, people thought I was crazy. We had this pianist who would play us on and off, because you wouldn't have understand. Pianist, man, he drove a car. He would walk in here. He would sit and play us. His name was Emil Pandolfi. Great guy. Very talented pianist. I think he moved back east and made millions of dollars doing music. Anyway, getting him to play us on and off would be like getting Einstein to help your kid with his third grade homework. Man, homework. Anyway, so I had to lock those doors, so I would close the one door, bolted at the top, bolted at the bottom, pull the other door, close, and lock it with a key. So I did that, bolted, shake it, make sure it's staying, close it, lock it with a key. Turned around, walked back down, turned around, it was open. So, by the time Emil comes walking up the aisle, the hall, I went, hey Emil, come here. Stand right there, watch this. So I did it, and he's standing like, why do I have to watch you lock the door? I bolted it, closed it, locked the door. Stood in, he went, what? I went, just wait. And he went, came open. He went, are you kidding me? You have to put up with that one every fucking night. So, back to your original question, every fucking night.
There's a comic by the name of Pete. That's his real name. I don't want to say his last name. And he was in the belly room. He performed. Have you been in the green room in the belly room?
Yes.
Okay. So from the showroom to the green room, there's a little hallway you walk through.
Yep.
Right? This dude's like my height, right? If you look at the ceiling, it's pretty high. It's probably this high, the way the ceiling is. Maybe a little shorter. And Pete has a good set in the belly room, walks down the hallway, and then his head hits the ceiling. Whoa. He gets thrown up in the ceiling. He breaks his fucking spine.
What?
Yeah. And he's now has to go through surgery for years. In fact, he sued the store and he got some sort of compensation. That's what I've never seen this guy before after this event. Wow. But apparently, you know what I mean? I was there downstairs, but apparently people that witnessed it, right, saw him just being thrown up there like Gus. It's Gus. In fact, me and Johnny Sanchez, who's a comedian, back in 2002, maybe 2001, we were in the parking lot of the store and we saw Gus for the first time. We both saw him. We were in the parking lot. We had dropped one of my cars off to go do a gig in Bakersfield. And when we drove back, it's 4 a.m. I'm getting my car, we're saying goodbye, whatever, right? And we both look at the window up above on the parking lot, and we see a white face, a top hat, 2 hands on the window looking down on us like this, right? And Johnny and I go, ah, like that, right? And then we look at each other, we look up, and he's gone.
Whoa! Shit.
That's the first time I saw Gus.
Oh my God!
So I don't. If you notice, I don't stay there past midnight.
You'll leave immediately.
Yeah.
Wow.
The activities after midnight.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go. Check
It's
it
crazy,
out.
man. Like even the ghosts are past at the Comedy Store. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not past.
Have you guys ever been to the Comedy Store?
No, but we were trying to.
Yeah, listen, I can set that up. The Comedy Store is without a doubt haunted.
We went
If there's
there
a
for a
place
show.
that's haunted in the world, it's the Comedy Store. Because it used to be a mob nightclub, and they've murdered people there. 100%. It was Bugsy Siegel's nightclub. It was called Ciro's. And in the 1950s, was it the 50s and the 60s? Is that what it was? But
Sorry, in the 40s, actually.
In the 40s, yeah. But it's a famous old mob-run nightclub that Mitzi Shore took over in the 1970s. So the place has this feel to it, like it's been run, as an entertainment venue for 70 years or something crazy like that.
Isn't there a bunch of like underground passageways around there too?
There was actually an article about this house on Crest Hill. Here, Whitney Cummings sent it to me, so I'll send it to you, Jamie. But I almost bought this house in the 1990s. In the 1990s, they were selling this house that the Comedy Store owned right above the club.
Is it this one?
Yeah, that's it.
And that's the one that's connected to the Comedy Store?
There's supposedly a tunnel, because that's right above and to the left of the comedy club. And that was also owned by Bugsy Siegel. Stories from the comedians who inhabited Crest Hill, the house above the Comedy Store. So that house was for sale. The Comedy Store was selling it. Mitzi was going to sell it. And but the problem is, if you go back to that photo, it's got like this tiny little bullshit yard. Like that's the yard. And I have a dog. I had a dog back then too. And I was like, I don't want to leave my dog in this bullshit yard.
Every place in LA.
Yard. Yeah, my dog needed a yard. And also, it's just too weird to be that close to the Comedy Store. There were so many stalkers and freaks and have people just, showing up at your house. And you're
just right on the boulevard, right?
Yeah. So
right
the Crest Hill's right off the boulevard, but it's right there. It's a 2-minute walk from Sunset.
I've heard like comedians like Bobby Lee in the past say that they've had issues there. Like people won't even work with them just based on the fact that he's worked there for so long.
Really?
Obviously, I don't know like too much about that, but he's talked about that in other podcasts and stuff where
it's haunted.
Yeah, where he says it's very haunted and like people don't want to work with him.
This girl, she avoids me. I've never met her before. I never talked shit behind her back. And a bunch of comics were saying, "Oh yeah, anyone that works at the Comedy Store, she won't even talk to." I go, "Why?" Because she believes that we're all like kind of like demons.
Because he works there.
Really?
It's like everybody like that works there.
That might be an excuse for why they don't want to work with Bobby.
That could be it.
Bobby, it might be you. I've never heard anybody say that before. I can't work with you because you work at that haunted place.
They just don't want to be like around that. stuff.
Well, there are 100% are people that have stories, including multiple comedians, multiple managers of the place, waitresses at the place. There's a lot of people that had stories of like seeing weird things and meeting people that weren't there. Carl LeBeau, who recently passed away, Carl had the weirdest story. He got kicked out of his house. He got in a fight with his wife, and he got kicked out of his house. And he went to the Comedy Store and decided he was going to sleep on the stage in the main room. And he's like, man, you know, I'm gonna fucking make it. I'm sleeping on this stage. She's gonna kick me out of the house, but one day I'll fucking show you. And so like he's drunk and he lays down on the stage, and then he hears a door shut. And the Comedy Store main room is pitch black, right? So this is what it looks like. But that's only when the lights are on. So he's laying down and he hears a door shut, and he goes, "Hey, it's Carl. It's me, Carl. Who is that?" And then he doesn't hear shit. And then he hears chairs move, and he hears like clink, 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 clink.
Oh, God.
And he's sitting there. He's going, what the fuck is going on? And something grabs his ankle and pulls him off the stage and onto the floor. And then he hears chairs moving again, and bam, the door shuts and slams, and nothing else. There's no one in the room. He has no idea what the fuck happened, but he told that story on stage one night. It's like he set the tone, this like spooky lighting, and it was really cool.
Wait, so he got pulled by his ankle off of the stage, so
Off the
multiple
stage.
feet away.
Yeah, something grabbed him. He didn't see anyone. But something grabbed his ankle and pulled him off the stage and onto the floor.
And I distinctly heard women's voices, more than one woman, talking in the ladies' room back. I mean, there would be stuff going on. I mean, some of the stuff was like, you know, like what Joey said. You blow out some candles, you turn around there and live again. Or, you know, the tables are all stacked over here. Or the chairs have moved around. Or the stool is, you know, stuff like that. Now, one night, I was coming in to lock up and check the place. And I was walking across the back there. And I distinctly heard women's voices, more than one woman, talking in the ladies' room back there, the women's room. So I said, all right, hey, I've closed the place up, gotta get out, come on. Then it got quiet. So I went, come on. Nobody came out. Cut to the chase, I go in. I said, all right, I'm coming in. And you could walk in and I could look in a mirror and look back down where the stalls are. I didn't see anything in there. So I went, well, maybe somebody's in there up, you know, with their feet up on the commode. So I actually went and pushed every stall open to see. And when I got to the last one, I knew there was going to have to be somebody in there. Pushed it open, there was nobody. I just went, nobody.
Well, at the Comedy Store, you know that place is haunted.
I haven't heard
and
that.
And I saw Gus a couple of times.
Is that a ghost that lived
there? Yeah,
there?
there was a ghost named Gus. He was in the 50s, he was a mafia henchman that apparently was murdered at the Comedy Store. It was a club called Ciro's at the time. And I've seen Gus a couple of times.
God bless him.
And that's something that other people have seen there?
Oh, Gus levitated Sam Kinison by his ankle and above it. Because, you know, Sam Kinison and Carl LeBeau, when they moved from Houston to the Comedy Store, they used to sleep in the main room. And one night, and this is what I heard from Carl LeBeau, because obviously Sam Kinison is dead, that one night he woke up and that Sam Kinison was levitated by his ankle upside down. Yeah.
Huh?
I could tell, I mean, next, if I ever do this podcast again, I can tell you a million stories that happened there.
Really?
Yeah.
So
but we've been 2 hours deep.
When you saw the ghost, just out of curiosity, how did it
Me and my
appear
friend
before
Johnny
you?
Sanchez did a gig in Bakersfield. This is back in the 90s. And I parked my truck at the Comedy Store parking lot. At 4 in the morning, when Johnny dropped me back off at my car, we looked up, and there's a window on the top floor. We looked up, and we saw a faceless man wearing a top hat with his hands against the window looking at us. And then we looked at each other, screamed, we looked back up, he was gone.
I was like, no, dude. Everybody's going to the Improv. Everybody's going to the Laugh Factory. There's people hiding, sleeping in here and shit at night.
It's just a ghost town. It's dark. It's like you knew something happened here at one time. It's up on the walls. There's like one server.
When I got there, it was like a haunted house. Like a lot of the guys that lived there had died and were haunting it.
One night, they said, don't go to the belly room.
I was working here. I snuck up behind the back, and I looked, that back door on the belly room. I looked, and there was like 12 people in a circle wearing hoods and robes.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not kidding you. Candles all over the place, and they're doing a seance. Two people turned around, and I recognized them. I can't say it because they're pretty big, and I don't want to.
Come on.
It was Lily Tomlin and Bob Zamuda. They were doing a seance to communicate with Andy Kaufman.
So that really happened.
Yeah.
And then there was gang shit here for a long time. On Mondays. And everybody got scared away for years.
I think it was Bugsy Siegel who owned Ciro's originally. So they would kill people there.
That's what I'm saying.
They would kill people there. And that's the result of it. People got tortured there.
Yeah.
They had a room down there where they would torture people plus.
And in the belly room, too, was an illegal abortion center. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. There was an illegal abortion center, and that's why they call it the belly room.
Jesus Christ.
And that's why, at times, people have said this, if you spend the night there, you can hear babies crying upstairs. But can I just tell you something about that belly room also? And it brings up something, the scariest thing I've ever seen up there. One night, at 2 in the morning, I was hanging out there, okay? And they go, you can hang out here, but upstairs, they're doing something, but you cannot go up there in the belly room. I go, it's closed. Who gives a fuck? He's like, there's something going up there. Do not go up there. But I went up there. The back entrance, up the black. I opened up that back thing, right? It's pitch black in there, but I see candles, right? I swear to God, I saw this. 15 people wearing hoods and purple cloaks. Oh my God. Okay? And they're chanting. Right? And then, so I go back downstairs and I wait to see. They come down after the seance. You know who I saw? One of them was Lily Tomlin. Okay? The second one was Bob Zamuda. You know Bob Zamuda? And they were seancing Andy Kaufman's ghost.
Did it work?
I don't know. I didn't stay up there long enough to know. But what I'm saying is that there's something about that belly room that is a portal of something. Why are you laughing?
It's just crazy. It's a comedy club, and it's like a haunted house almost.
I still remember living in 3515, being being a teenager, and staying in on Friday nights to watch Sanford and Son. And there used to be a show called Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Oh, yeah.
I said by the garage. It had to be like 3 feet in. But there's something about 3515 given that terrace that's always bothered me. Still till today.
Wow.
My mother died there. I found her in the kitchen. What that house had become.
Well, who lives there now?
A family. When me and Lee were there.
An older Hispanic family, right?
They were an older family, but they had it since my mother died. Lee. His name is
nice
Lee.
to meet you.
That's Bob.
That's Lee. You are Lee, huh?
Yes.
That's my bad, dude.
No worries.
I think you thought his name was Jimmy?
I don't remember, but I the whole time I was thinking, what the fuck's this guy's name again?
Yeah, so when Lee and I went...
Hey, Lee, what's up?
Nice to see you,
Good
buddy.
to see you,
When
man.
Lee and I went and shot the documentary, some people came and they go, no, I think the people bought that house when your mother died. They were the first people that bought it. And they still live there. But I would like to buy that house and...
There's nothing you can do, though.
Tear it down.
No, but even if you build something back up in that the ghost is still there.
No. I could do something. You could bring like Indian chiefs. And fucking, you can give it a try.
Oh, yeah, have the people dance on it and shit.
I know my mother's in that house. I know my mother's tormented in that house. I know that she's in there. I would give her peace of mind. I've always thought about that. And I can't believe how cheap the like my friend's dad died. He's got a 2-floor fucking house in North Bergen. It's $400,000.
Yeah.
North Bergen is a throw rock from New York City.
Is it still safe?
The house in the neighborhood is safe. Everything's safe. You would have to tear the house down and build a new house. But the property...
Yeah, communicating with the dead and stuff. Now you're getting into stuff.
No. Don't I say I want to communicate with nobody? Listen, you're talking about the wrong dude.
No, but you want to... What do you want to do?
I would like to buy that house. That house meant a lot to me.
I know, but the thing is that no matter what you do with the house, you tear it down, you wipe it out, you build something else on there, the spirits are still there.
You believe that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not in the wall. It's not in the concrete.
What makes you believe that? Just I'm not doubting you. I'm not arguing with you.
Because we're dealing with a different plane, my friend. Okay, they're on both planes, right? So you have to go to the second plane, take some sort of machine. Maybe Duncan Trussell knows about one.
No, which the Cubans call El Mundo de la Verdad.
Get that.
That they went over to the world of truth.
Yeah.
I understand that. But I figured whatever was haunting me, listen, Bobby Lee, you've been addicted to drugs. You've been addicted to drugs where you started hearing things.
That's right.
I've been addicted to drugs where I started hearing things for 27 years. You know, it's a mental prison.
Oh.
That's the easiest way to describe an addiction. People who are going through opioids or whatever you're going through, my heart goes out to you. And you know I love you. You know I'm telling you the truth, that it's a mental prison. You can't be reliable. You're not reliable no more. You and I both know it's a mental prison. But I still believe in the spirituality of life.
I do too.
You know, like when I did The Longest Yard, where we shot The Longest Yard in New Mexico, there was a riot at that prison. And they killed 7 guards. And they shut the power down. And when they turned the power on, people thought that there was water. It was blood. It was a stream of blood from all the people they had killed. Until this day, they took the blood out and they paint the floor every year. But there was so much blood on the floor that the blood still comes up from the prison floor.
What the fuck are you telling me this about?
Because when we shot The Longest Yard there, they found out about that. The Paramount did. So Paramount didn't want no fucking problems. So they sent a Swami, a Hindu, a Catholic priest. I think I'm kidding you. An Indian priestess.
Everyone for
Everybody
religion
for
in the
every
movie?
religion. And they sent them down there to do a cleanse. The funny thing was the producers wanted to make sure. So they offered anybody who spent the night in the prison $1,000, and the fucking nobody spent the night. Everybody would run out an hour in.
You know Mitzi though, right? Mitzi hired a cleaner from Paris every year for like 30 years to clean her office because there was apparently like things would levitate and crash against the walls in her office. Have you ever been inside her office?
Yes.
I've never seen it. And I've been there for 25 years. I don't think
You've never seen the inside of that office?
No.
Yes.
You've seen the inside.
The inside of that office.
I thought no
she
one
was
seen
alive. This was 15 years ago when she used to come in 3 times a week.
Yeah, I never saw.
I was
inside.
a telemarketer upstairs with Ed Mitchell.
She would clean it every year, and she would say it still wouldn't be clean. No one could clean it. So what I'm saying is that who knows if these Hindus and these cleaners can do anything?
Well, here's the deal. I was at the store one afternoon. I used to do Bob Oshek's job, who before that was Freddie Soto's job. And what you did was you basically fucking drove. You went to get her a tongue sandwich. You went to the hardware store and you made deposits at the bank.
Yeah.
That was your job,
Right.
you know? And you picked up shift with a little Mexican carpenter. Is he still there?
Yeah. I love him.
Love him.
But he's doing well in life, so he's a little fatter.
Is he?
He has more cheeks.
I gotta go see him.
And he was like, "Hey, bro, how you doing?"
Yeah, he would be down there at 10 after 9.
Yeah, I like that
washing
guy. I
and
forgot his name. What's his name?
Emilio.
Yeah, whatever.
I was there one day waiting to go on a mission. And the weirdest thing happened. A van pulled up, like a handicap van. You know, it had to be 2000, 2001, maybe. It's got to be 2 in the afternoon, and this van pulls up. Guy gets out of the car, kind of looks like me, a little thinner. And he opens up the 2 doors, and he puts a wheelchair guy in the ramp, and he presses a button, and the ramp pushes it out. And the guy walks up, and he's very friendly, the guy. He goes, "How you doing?" And I go, "How you doing?" If I was 40, 38 at the time, the guy had to be 80, 85, and his handler was about 40, 45, and they were very nice. But the guy asked me blatantly, he goes, "Is Mitzi here?" And I go, "I don't know. You know, I don't know nothing. You know me, I don't know nothing. I don't know if Mitzi's here." And she goes, "Are you a comedian here?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm trying, you know, just trying to put the pieces together, sir." And I didn't know what the guy did, but he goes, "I was one of the original doormen here when it was Ciro's."
Whoa.
Did Mitzi ever find the money? Do you know if she ever found the money downstairs?
Whoa.
And I was like, I have no fucking idea. And then the guy rolled by me, and I don't know if he saw Mitzi.
Whoa, wait. What you're saying to me right now is in the basement.
In the basement.
There could be money stashed away there.
Yes.
Because you know you can get down there now. People hang out down there.
Yes, they have a
We
whole
got to
thing.
find it.
Yes, but I heard that you could go downstairs and sneak out all the way to the street behind it.
No.
Yes, that's
There's
the
a
way.
tunnel.
There's a tunnel because
No.
Yes, because the guy who owns Ciro's
smuggled shit.
What's his name?
Ciro.
No, the guy who owns Ciro's was a gangster. That kid, Bugsy Siegel.
Oh, Bugsy
Siegel was who created Las Vegas. With
Yeah,
the
I know
mob.
who Bugsy Siegel
When
is.
he came out to Vegas, they thought he was rubbing shoulders with the wrong people. He was getting a little fucking smoochy, and he was dating a Hollywood starlet. And plus, the envelopes were a little light in Las Vegas. The math didn't add up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I gave you $8 million, but I got $6 million in contractor retreats. Meanwhile, you're in LA having dinner with fucking Sinatra. I'm over here in Buffalo eating meatball sandwiches with a Korean and a fat little fucking Jew that's on a diet. You know what I'm saying?
Lee.
Yeah. What's it say? Who owns Ciro?
Oh, I thought you. I thought.
No, I think it was Bugsy Siegel who owned Ciro's originally. So they would kill people there.
That's what I'm saying.
They would kill people there, and that's the result of it. People got tortured there.
Yeah.
They had a room down there where they would torture people. Plus,
And in the belly room too was an illegal abortion center. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. There was an illegal abortion center, and that's why they call it the belly room.
Jesus Christ.
And that's why at times people have said this: if you spend the night there, you can hear babies crying upstairs. But can I just tell you something about that belly room also? And this brings up something, the scariest thing I've ever seen up there.
You know, as most of the old school comics say, that the club is built over one of the portholes to hell.
And one night, I was coming in to lock up and check the place. And I was walking across the back there, and I distinctly heard women's voices.
And they were seancing Andy Kaufman's ghost.
Did it work?
I don't know. I didn't stay up there long enough to know. But what I'm saying is that there's something about that belly room that is a portal of something.
I still remember living in 3515, being a child, not a child, being a teenager, and staying in on Friday nights to watch Sanford and Son. And there used to be a show called Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube. First, find out who owns Ciro's.
So yeah, it was Bugsy Siegel was the last one to own it. He wrestled it away from the.
There we go.
So Bugsy Siegel.
Previous owner.
Was there ever a Ciro that owned it?
No, the first owner was William Wilkerson.
But his nickname was Ciro, though, I bet.
But the people who rented it after he did went to Sammy Shore and said if he wanted to start a. Now, what was the second one?
The second owner?
What was the second thing I needed you to do?
I think maybe Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah, go to YouTube and see if you find Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Now, one last question for you. Yeah. I know that you, at times, have hosted a haunted tour around the Comedy Store. What do you think? Do you think it's haunted? Do you feel something?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. No, recently, nothing. Because we've done just enough remodeling that the ghosts are sort of like...
They don't feel at home anymore?
Yeah, nobody has seen anything in the past 6 years. That I mean, managers have felt sort of creepy at night, but people have... I was sitting backstage, stage right, in the main room, beside the stairs that go up to the cover booth, or the sound booth, and there's a door that goes to the cover booth. And I got up just to see who came into the showroom, because it was when we were closed. And just one of the security guys walking through, and I was like, oh. And literally, in that fast a glance, that door that sticks on the carpet, you have to push it shut, was closed. And turned and locked, and the handle never before that turned.
Weird.
I mean, it just was like that. And I pulled it open because I thought for sure somebody's screwing with me, and they're on the other side there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, whatever. But the weirdest thing, I did see a physical... I talked to some Ghostbusters when I used to do the Halloween show, and they say what I saw was considered an entity because it doesn't touch the ground. So it could necessarily be from another place, the hotel next door or a house behind the club. But I walked out back into sacred ground, opened our door that has a window in it, and I saw somebody standing with a white hoodie. And so I thought, well, I'll open the door slowly. And as I did, they moved back. And when I got the door completely open, I realized it wasn't a person in a white hoodie. It was a perfect outline of a human that went down about to a foot on the ground. was like this far from the ground. Perfect shadow outline of an adult person, and as if you blew a bubble that could be that shape, and then filled it with smoke. So
Weird.
And as I stepped, I mean, this was all like 4 seconds, and as I stepped, the edges popped, like it was, the bubble popped.
Right.
And the smoke stayed exactly the same, but the smoke sort of was
dispersed.
moving.
Yeah.
And as one solid mass, it went down the alley.
Wow.
I've never seen a cloud stick together and go down. Even if somebody had just been there smoking and blew a bubble with smoke in it, it wouldn't move to the left all by itself. And I turned and I ran right into my friend Tony Hinchcliffe, one of our paid regulars. And he knew something was wrong. He came and asked me later in the evening. He's like, what happened? Are you okay? Did somebody do something? And I said, Tony, I have actually just seen something that my brain can't explain. And he got real interested. And I told him, and he's like, dude, I saw it today while I was working phones up in the belly room. I went to the bathroom, and he said, shape of an adult person, bubble with like moving smoke. He said, was standing right in, he was like this, okay, and walked out. So we both saw the exact same thing in the same day. He saw it during the day and I saw it at night. And there's the hairs going again, because my brain absolutely knows what it saw. And my brain absolutely knows it shouldn't have seen that that's not real. So now I'm like, because when people used to see Gus, that's
what I was going to bring up.
Gus the
Do you think maybe the activity mellowed out because Mitzi's gone? I had heard that her father was involved in some suspicious behavior, and that she had there was like a henchman that was supposed to be looking after her.
Yeah, Gus.
Comics with names didn't even want to come here. They thought it was a dark energy here. The 80s boom had ended, and there was this unbelievably, like, toxic, like, negative vibe. The night that I was here, I did not feel welcome, and I was surprised by that.
A lot of comics hated this place.
Business was bad, and it's like the comics were running the club. Like, nobody even knew who was really running the comedy store.
Like comedians like Bobby Lee in the past say that they've had issues there. Like people won't even work with them just based on the fact that he's worked there for so long.
Really?
Obviously, I don't know like too much about that, but he's talked about that in other podcasts and stuff where
it's haunted.
Yeah, where he says it's very haunted and like people don't want to work with him because he works there.
Really?
It's like everybody like that works there.
That might be an excuse for why they don't want to work with Bobby. Bobby,
that could be it.
Bobby, it might be you. I've never heard anybody say that before. I can't work with you because you work at that haunted place. That
They just don't want to be like around that stuff.
There was this girl who she has an, I'm not gonna name her name, and I said, "You're very funny," and she goes like this. She goes, and she just walks away from me. A bunch of comics were saying, "Oh, they believes that we're all like kind of like demons, and that we're all like a part of this weird comedy cult, that we're dark, we have dark energy."
The best thing they could have is their friend who's a comedian next to them, just making them laugh.
Right.
And I was like, what? So it's taken me a long time to not decide that someone is rejecting me.
Sure.
And then be like, well, fine, I'll just, and which is my shit of just like trying to not get hurt. Not get hurt.
I mean, I did that my whole career starting out as a stand-up, going to the comedy clubs. Yeah. That's why you never saw me there. I didn't hang out at the Comedy Store. I didn't hang out at the Improv. I didn't hang out at any of the clubs because you
had a good childhood. We get it. Your parents loved you. We got it.
I would project onto everyone that they didn't like me because I blew up so fast.
Also, by the way, I'm not saying that's true, but that could that's also not always untrue.
Yeah.
Even though it's obviously jealousy, insecure people are dangerous, and we're a very insecure sort of group. And you also seem very self-contained. And this is also something I'd love to talk about because, you're, you have a very strong connection to your religion. And there's you don't come off like you need people's approval, and that's a little bit annoying to a comedian or to insecure people because we want to go, how can I put my hooks in you? Like back then, I was really only in relationships with people that I could rescue or fix because I thought that was a thing, and I only could have self-esteem through being needed. And I didn't think anyone that was self-contained and had their internal needs met would want to be,
what do they need from me then?
What do they, how am I going to keep them?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get abandoned. So I need someone that's like, gets addicted to my help or that I stick my, it has to be codependent and entrenched or else they can leave at any time.
Yeah.
And you were kind of like too healthy. There's no but can you talk a little bit about have you always had a strong relationship with Christianity? And did that help you through, what helped you get to a point to this?
I'm so grateful for my years of being super devoted Christian, committed to the plan that I had for myself. I'm grateful for those years, and I'll talk about that. And but also where I'm at now is definitely an evolved version of myself in my 20s, who still loves God, who still says in Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah.
But now also says, thank you, divine. Thank you, love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like I have gone through probably the past 5 years a deconstruction of my Christianity that I held on so tightly in my early 20s, for sure. And I think the fact that I held on to that probably saved me from a lot of complications and heartbreaks that I would have got myself into, bad decisions I would have made. And at the same time, because of that, I made some decisions that I feel like robbed me of certain things, like saying no to certain movies that I thought was as a Christian, I probably shouldn't do this because it had one dick joke in it. And I was like, oh, that's probably, I shouldn't do that. And then the movie comes out and it's actually not that at all. And I just said no because I was trying to be super Christian. I would project that onto people, but then also that would keep me from making relationships, actual friends. And I remember I would watch you, and you'd be up at the club all the time, and Eliza would be up at the club all the time, and I'd be like, oh, I wish I could just do that. And every time I had a set at the Improv or wherever, and it was okay, Wednesday, sure. I was thinking about it for 3 days until I got there, and it was diarrhea the whole time I was there. Ooh. I'm like, okay, let me know when it's my turn.
That's really why people didn't talk to you.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gas, just all the things. I was so nervous, had so much anxiety, and I was like, oh my God, this is not worth it. And I remember telling my manager at the time, should I be forcing myself to go hang out at the clubs and make relationships? And he was like, no, why? They're wanting where you're at right now, so just go be where you're at right now. Yeah. And I was like,
but then the irony is you want to be one of them.
Yes. And I was but I like community though. But I want peers. I want to be chummy with people. And then I remember watching the documentary, the Comedy Store documentary, and I remember feeling so sad that I let my, oh God, I'm getting emotional. Sorry about that. God. That I let my anxiety win for all of those years. And I robbed myself of making relationships with people, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, is relationships, not our careers and what are you doing, what are you booking, but it's relationship. And I remember seeing that in the documentary, the community and people bonding and things like that. And I was like, oh man, I robbed myself of that because I let my anxiety win for all those years.
I went the other way. Whereas, when I'm the first person to say, I'm so grateful for all the people that hurt me. You made me stronger. All the people that hazed me, all the people that emotionally abused me, even down to physical abuse. I'm at the point where I'm like, I am invincible, and
Thank you.
You hurting me, because I know hurt people, and I know that if you hurt me, something terrible happened to you, if you're sadistic like that, or you're mentally ill, or a sociopath, or something I can defend anyone that did damage to me now, as 39 years old. But at the time, it was a very dangerous place for me, and I forced myself to go, and I shouldn't have. I think we both went extreme ways. I was like, I am going to fucking show you that I can take all this abuse. Yeah. I can, and it was really unhealthy for me, because a comedy club, which no criticism, comedians have, I don't want to say all comedians are crazy or sick or whatever, but, we obviously crave validation from drunk strangers and destroy our lives to chase that and self-harm and self-flagellate in a lot of ways. And that often comes out in a way that we don't always play well with others and we hurt other people. And sometimes we think we're play fighting, but it's not. You know, some of us are masochists and sadistic, whatever it was, that group of people at that time and the type of people that were attracted to that hallway were really dangerous for me and gave me really bad data. It definitely stunted a lot of my growth and made me hold on to a lot of old stories that I needed to be debunking. I probably needed to be doing more what you were doing and hanging out with your friends were getting married and seeing like what was possible. But it was to me because of growing up in an alcoholic home with so much, you know, pugnacious behavior, confrontational behavior, scandalous behavior. There were always fights breaking out. There was always like someone getting hurt, someone getting shot. I mean, it was like, I craved that because that's what my evenings were like when I was a kid. That's my comfort zone is like, it's midnight. Like
it's too quiet. I don't feel good.
Yeah. Because I was so addicted to adrenaline and drama. So had you felt comfortable there, your parents would have to hit your Venmo, you know. So the kind of people that felt comfortable there, not judging them, it's just we felt calm in crisis, chaos.
Calm in chaos, yeah.
Yeah. And the kind of people that would go there and go, don't feel comfortable. I'm like, stick to that instinct, you know, because I think that I thought that I had to endure a lot of emotional pain, discomfort, physical pain. I mean, I would stay till 2 a.m. just to prove that I wasn't a girl. Like I can hang with the guys. Like I'm sleeping 4 hours because I have to work other jobs to make money, you know, and it was masochistic on my part because I was trying so hard to neuter myself and show guys that I could hang or just be around guys and not ever date them. So everyone knew like, I don't date comics. Like I'm one of you. And, you know, and at the time, the way that the Comedy Store was set up was kind of toxic, which is that, you know, one of the managers, you had to show your loyalty to that place and you had to have no life. So I didn't get to date. I didn't get to have girlfriends. I didn't get to have friends. I just was like going like, I'm not fucking going anywhere. And I'm going to, and that's how you like earn some respect, but it's a sick kind of like, it's like unnecessary, like Hell Week Navy SEAL shit where it's just like, this is just like hazing, and, you know, but it also, you know, and I go, I rob myself of girlfriendships. I rob myself of like traveling, you know, so, like all that stuff. But I'm like, I feel like we're just getting good. So, because it's also so weird to hear someone else's side because I just saw you as like so focused and so together and so like, I don't need to deal with that. I'm doing this. And we would talk about you because we'd be like, does she just work out new stuff like on the road? Like, how does she do that?
That's funny. I've always wondered, like, I wonder what people think about me. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would just write my jokes on the road.
I don't have the bravery to do that.
I didn't want to go to
I have to go try it 50 times at a fucking sushi restaurant in Santa Monica at some open mic before I'll do it because I'm insecure. So we're always just going like, damn, she's secure. Like she likes herself. That's what we're all trying to be like.
Thank you.
You know? So it's
just, I feel a lot better about my choices.
Also,
Thank you.
Also, and the other thing is like, yes, I mean, having dealt with so much negativity from my own comedy community and having it really break my heart, you know, it's like comedians are professional complainers. Like if you weren't successful, they'd have a problem with you.
But yeah, so I've gone through a whole journey. But during that time, starting out in stand-up, I was definitely super devoted, super into my prayer time, my devotional time, my staying connected with my community to make sure like I'm staying on top of things.
But this is mental health, whether it's whatever your religion, everyone's got their religion, whether it's even the people are like, I don't believe in God. I'm like, but you go to Barry's boot camp every single morning. You have a religion. You have a God. His name is Barry.
You have a ritual.
You have a ritual. It does the same thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because, you know, religion over time has been, you know, justified to do incorrigible things and start wars, but everyone's got their religion.
Sure.
You know?
Growing up and in my 20s, I definitely had the Christian route. This is how you pray. These are the words that you say when you go to church. There's tithe and offering, and then there's praise and worship, and then there's all the things. Like, this is how...
There's wine at church.
This is how you worship God.
Yeah.
Like, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And that was the only way to do it. And now I'm at a place where it kind of like what you're saying, like I'll wake up in the morning and I'll do like my yoga stretches, my energy medicine, and I'm doing all my tapping and like all the things, and I'm praying and
Slow
I'm
down.
just like, yes, God.
What's the tapping?
So like, like learning about energy,
Tap dancing.
Having learned about energy medicine, and learning about just frequencies and all of those
I stand in the
things.
dirt and to get the grounding and the electricity.
Yeah.
You're talking to the right bitch.
Yes.
This is not.
But that's what I'm saying.
This
is
doesn't
I
sound
was
crazy
not-
enough to me yet.
I wasn't this girl though.
Yeah.
Like I was the girl that was like, oh, that's crazy. Like just talk to Jesus. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
But now I have such a connection with Mother Earth that
Yeah,
I do enjoy going out into
Jesus
my
was
backyard.
barefoot to get the electricity
Come
from the.
on.
He was grounding.
He was. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Gus was one of the original door guys during the mafia days that Bugsy Siegel ran Ciro's nightclub. And people used to see this guy, Gus. You'd see him out of the corner of your eye, like, I can see you right now out of the corner of my eye, but if I turn, there wouldn't be anything there. So that's how people, you see like a solid apparition of a guy in 1940s clothes. Several times I've been in there setting up. Some outside show has been in the room. And I remember one night it was a magic show for some reason. And the assistant was in the dressing rooms getting ready, and she came out, and it was just myself and this magician and the sound guy. We were on stage talking. She's like, who's the dude in there sitting there? He's just staring at me. He won't talk. We're like, what are you talking about? There's like an old guy in like an old 40 suit and hat. And we're like, oh, that's Gus. We're like, that's Gus the ghost. He used to be a hitman here and she's like, no, this isn't a ghost. This is a real guy. And so we follow her, and she's like, he was sitting right solid, right. And then she freaked out, and she wouldn't stay in the dressing room alone because we looked all through the dressing room. There was nobody in there.
Before you get into that, I want to just say the last point I wanted to make, which is there is something dark about the story. It's not because it's black. There's just a weird vibe there. A lot of comics, even though we're having an upswing, there's this girl who she has I'm not gonna name her name because I don't want to get in trouble, but she has a Netflix special, but she doesn't play the store. And I was at the Laugh Factory and I saw her perform, and she got off stage. I was right after her, and I never met her before. She's very funny, and I said, "You're very funny," and she goes like this. She goes, and she just walks away from me, right? Which is rude, right? So in my head, I'm thinking maybe it's in my head, and then check it out. The next week, I'm at the Improv, and she's sitting there because she's about to go up. I sit next to her. She walks up and walks away. So I did some investigating, and I go, this girl, you know, she avoids me. I've never met her before. I never talked shit behind her back. And a bunch of comics were saying, oh yeah, anyone that works at the Comedy Store, she won't even talk to. I go, why? Because she believes that we're all like kind of like demons, and that we're all like a part of this weird comedy cult, that we're dark. We have dark energy.
Crucial 13, you all appreciate it. Shout out to you.
Get crucial.
Hungry. I need some bacon.
Look at this. Look at it. This is the city I'm in right now.